Okay, let's jump in. We are traveling back in time for this one.
We are.
Picture a Thursday evening in London. It's November 14th, 1889.
Right. Gaslights, thousands of people packed into the Metropolitan Tabernacle.
And the speaker is the man himself, Charles H. Spurgeon.
The Prince of Preachers.
Exactly. And you might expect, a comforting, standard Sunday sermon.
Yeah, a nice little homily.
But that's not what he does. Instead, he pulls out this very specific, kind of mysterious story from the life of King David.
It's all about a valley, an enemy that keeps coming back, and this strange signal in the treetops.
It's a text from 2 Samuel, chapter 5. And, if you just read it on the page, it's a war story. It's Bronze Age tactics.
Super gritty. But what Spurgeon does with it, and this is why we're doing this deep dive, is he turns this ancient military plan into a masterclass on what he calls divine leading.
Right. And our mission here isn't just a history lesson. It's to really get inside the framework Spurgeon is building, because it's all about this incredible tension.
What's the tension?
It's between, on one hand, this absolute passive waiting, and then, boom, this sudden, frantic, high-energy action.
It's a jarring shift.
Yeah.
And to get why it matters, you have to see the scene he sets. David has just become king over all of Israel.
He's at the top of his game.
Totally. And he's just won this massive victory over his old enemies, the Philistines.
Which is usually where the movie ends.
Oh.
Hero wins, credits roll.
Confetti falls, everyone goes home. But Spurgeon points out something really uncomfortable right at the start. The enemy comes back.
He has this great phrase for it. He says, the Philistines took a great deal of beating.
I love that line. It's so British and understated.
It is, but it's such a reality check. You solve a problem, you finally get over some issue, you think, okay, done, I can relax.
But challenges are stubborn. They don't really care about your victory lap. Spurgeon says evil is not content with being defeated once or twice. It's up and at us again.
So the Philistines are back, and they're in the exact same spot, the Valley of Rephaim. The threat looks identical.
And this is where we hit the first big idea Spurgeon unpacks, the danger of autopilot. Think about it. From any logical standpoint, if a strategy worked perfectly last week in this exact valley,
You do it again.
you rinse and repeat. Why wouldn't you? It's efficient.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. But David does something that Spurgeon just zooms in on. He pauses. He asks God for guidance a second time.
And this is where Spurgeon drops that absolute gem of a line. He says, counsel in one dilemma is not guidance for another.
Wow. That is a sentence you can just write down and keep.
Totally.
Counsel in one dilemma is not guidance for another. Just because you got a green light yesterday doesn't mean you have one for today.
It's like that idea of yesterday's manna, right? You can't hoard it, it goes stale.
Precisely. And the stakes are so high here, if David had just gone on autopilot, he would have walked straight into a disaster.
Because the answer he gets is the total opposite of last time.
Completely. The first time, God said, go up, attack. This time, the command is, thou shalt not go up.
That's a hard stop.
A very hard stop. And instead of a frontal assault, he's told to circle around behind them and wait by the mulberry trees.
The mulberry trees. Okay, so that's the anchor point. But before we get to the trees, I want to go back to that autopilot idea. Spurgeon has this phrase I hadn't heard before.
What is it?
He talks about people blundering on neck or nothing.
Yes, neck or nothing. It's this critique of just reckless momentum, rushing into things without thinking. He's saying people get into trouble because they don't stop to get that fresh direction.
And he counters it with this proverb that's actually pretty witty. He says, the old proverb says that kneeling does not spoil silk stockings.
I love that. It's his way of saying that pausing to pray or to think doesn't make you less important or less dignified.
He's talking to the successful people.
The ones in the silk stockings, the movers and shakers, he's saying you're not too important to pause. Actually, that pause is what makes you strong.
So David obeys. He circles around, he's hiding near these mulberry trees, and he's told to wait for a very specific signal.
Not to look for it, but to listen for it.
Right. The sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees.
The sound of a going. I love that King James language.
It's so poetic.
It is. And Spurgeon even says, look, maybe they were mulberry trees, maybe balsam trees. The Hebrew is a bit ambiguous, but the botany doesn't matter.
What matters is the sound.
The sound. And he stresses, it was not the wind.
He makes a huge point of that. Wind would move the whole tree. This was just in the tops.
Yes, which implies something happening above the trees. And Spurgeon really leans into the supernatural here. He suggests this was the sound of God's army of angels marching through the sky.
Their feet brushing the leaves.
Exactly.
Which would be terrifying for the enemy.
Oh, absolutely. Spurgeon dives right into the psychological warfare of it. He thinks that sound was designed to paralyze the Philistines.
Because they were superstitious people.
Very. Imagine you're a soldier standing in a still valley, no breeze, and suddenly, right over your head, it sounds like an army is marching through the leaves. But you can't see a thing.
That would be unnerving.
It'd be terrifying. It's a signal that there's a force moving that isn't human.
But for David, it's not about fear. It's the go-ahead. It's the signal that God has gone out before him.
That's the whole key. And it leads us right into the central paradox of the sermon. God works, therefore you work.
And this is where I think the logic gets flipped for a lot of us.
How so?
Well, the default thought is, okay, if God's got this, if the angels are marching, I can just sit back.
I'll wait for the victory parade to come to me.
Right. My work is done.
And Spurgeon has absolutely zero patience for that idea. He basically calls it laziness disguised as faith.
He does. He points right at the text. It says, when you hear the sound, then thou shalt bestir thyself.
Bestir thyself. It sounds so polite.
It does, like, if you wouldn't mind getting up. But Spurgeon says the real meaning is much more urgent. He says it means look sharp.
Look sharp. I love that. It's like a drill sergeant. Snap to attention, get moving, rush the attack.
The fact that God is already moving is the very reason to fight with everything you have, not the reason to sleep.
He says God's working is not a reason for our sitting still.
And he backs this up with history, doesn't he?
He does. He points to the Huguenots and the Calvinists. Now, your theology aside, historically, these were people who believed very strongly in divine will, in predestination.
And the critique is always, well, if it's all destined, why do anything?
Right. Why bother? But Spurgeon says, look at them. They were some of the most energetic, active, bravest people in history.
They didn't say, God will win, so I'll take a nap.
No, they said, God will win, so I'm going to fight like crazy because I know my effort won't be wasted. It completely flips fatalism on its head.
It's confidence, not resignation.
That's the perfect way to put it. It should nerve your arm, he says, not make you drop your sword.
So we've got this sequence now. Wait for fresh guidance, listen for the signal.
The wrestling.
And when you hear it, look sharp. You go all out.
Correct. But then Spurgeon adds another layer. He asks, how does this actually work in real life for us? Because it's not usually angels in the treetop.
Yeah, this is the preparation phase. And he uses this fire analogy that is just brilliant.
It's so practical. He says, look, the fire happens when you strike the match. That's the big moment, the conversion, the revival.
Right.
But where would that fire be if someone hadn't, chopped the wood, dried it out, and laid it all in place long before the match ever showed up?
That's the prevenient action. God going before. He talks about how life itself prepares people to hear a message.
He gives some really poignant examples. A mother losing a child. A man getting a scary diagnosis. He says those hard things break up the iron soil of the heart.
He calls it breaking the plowshare.
Yes. If you try to talk to someone who's arrogant and comfortable, it's like trying to plow solid rock. But when God has gone before through suffering, the soil is ready.
And it's not just the listener. This part surprised me. Spurgeon gets really vulnerable about the fragility of the speaker.
Oh, this was my favorite bit. It just makes him so human.
Me too. This is Charles Spurgeon, this titan, admitting that a speaker can be completely thrown off by the tiniest things.
He mentions a disarranged dress or someone dropping an umbrella in the aisle.
It's incredible. It's a reminder that the messengers are just flawed people. So the divine leader has to prepare the speaker's heart too.
Right, to make them focus so those little distractions don't derail everything.
Okay, so let's bring this into the now, or at least his now. How did he tell his 1889 audience to identify this sound in the trees today?
He gets very practical. He says the sound is found in genuine earnestness, when people are actually hungry for truth, not just entertainment.
He takes a pretty direct shot at the entertainment culture of his day. He actually mentions Mr. Barnum's show.
P.T. Barnum. Yeah, Spurgeon was not a fan of the church trying to compete with the circus.
He says some churches use fiddling and tinkering just to get a crowd. But that's not the real sound.
No. The sound is when people gather to hear the hard stuff. Life, death, the cross without gimmicks. That, for Spurgeon, is the signal God is moving.
And when that signal is heard, the tactic has to change. And this brings us to my favorite metaphor in the whole thing.
Let me guess. The Woolwich infant versus the pocket pistol.
Yes, it's so good.
Explain it. The Woolwich infant was what?
It was a nickname for this enormous 35-ton cannon the British Army had, a massive piece of artillery. And Spurgeon says the sermon, preaching to a crowd, is like firing that giant gun.
And he admits it's not very efficient. He says something like, "Here I stand and fire my guns, but the shot may hit nobody."
Exactly. You make a lot of noise, but you might miss everyone. So he says, it's time for the private pocket pistol.
The individual conversation.
One-on-one. He basically tells everyone in the room to carry their own pocket pistol, to speak personally to the person sitting next to them.
He argues that some people can sleep right through the cannon fire of a sermon.
But they would be completely astonished by a quiet, personal question from a friend.
He gets really direct here, too. He calls out the aged saint in the room.
He does not hold back. He says, you are rather an old saint, but you are also rather an old sinner for remaining silent.
Wow. Ouch.
It's harsh. But he's saying, you have the most experience, but you say the least. And he applies the main text right to them. When you hear the sound, thou shalt discour thyself.
Not the pastor. You.
You. It's democratizing the whole effort. Victory isn't just up to the general. It's up to every single soldier.
He says if everyone started edging up to the person next to them and just whispering the truth, you'd see so much more happen.
Edge up to that individual. I just love that phrase. It's awkward and personal and probably super effective.
It definitely takes more courage than sitting quietly while the cannon fires.
So how does the original story end?
Well, the text says David did so. He heard and he acted immediately.
And the result?
A total victory. A rout. He smote the Philistines from Jebbah to Gazer. Spurgeon points out you don't really hear from them much after this. It was a decisive blow.
Okay, so let's synthesize the formula here. It feels like 4 steps. 1, ditch the autopilot. Ask for fresh guidance.
Tip 1. Got it.
2, wait for the specific signal. Listen for that sound of the trees. 3, when you hear it, look sharp. Go all in. Total energetic action.
No holding back.
And 4, switch your weapons, put down the big cannon, and pick up the personal pocket pistol.
That's a great summary. It covers the whole strategy.
But Spurgeon leaves us with one last kind of provocative thought. It's about that famous line, Paul planted, Apollos watered.
Yes. This is a crucial correction he makes.
How do people usually use that phrase?
People usually use it as as an excuse. Hey, I did my part. I planted in water. If nothing grows, that's up to God, not my fault.
Right. It takes all the responsibility for results off the table.
But Spurgeon says, hold on. There is no such text in the Bible.
What does he mean?
The actual text isn't a principle. It's a historical statement. I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. It's past tense. It happened. The crop grew.
So his challenge is, if you are planting and you are watering and there is no increase,
don't just shrug and quote a Bible verse.
what should you do?
He says you should aggressively ask why. You go to God and say, Lord, it used to be that you gave the increase when we did the work. What's hindering the blessing now?
That is a bold way to end. It's a refusal to accept failure as just some mysterious will of God.
Exactly. It puts the responsibility back on us to make sure we're actually listening for the sound in the trees and not just going through the motions.
Are we actually planting, or are we just watching?
Well, there you have it. A deep dive into the mulberry trees. It's a lot to chew on.
Especially that pocket pistol idea. Makes you wonder who you're supposed to edge up to this week.
Indeed. And are you listening for the rustling? Or just running on last week's momentum?
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll catch you on the next Deep Dive.